I hope my PPT is visible, right? Yeah. So, good afternoon, all of you. Uh, if you could remember, yesterday, today is the fourth session, and in the last three sessions, we have talked on, the several technologies. The first session, we talked on several technologies, and then we talked on the corporate technology strategy. So, what all are the strategies? Basically, that is covered yesterday. What is yesterday and session two. So it's a big one. So, what all are the strategies or the framework a corporate should adhere to in order to imbibe a new technology in their landscape, right? So that's what we talked in the last two sessions. Today, agenda is to finish off this collaborative planning, forecasting, and replenishment. So this is actually your model three, and if possible, I will also try to finish off module four, which talks on the new manufacturing technologies, which are technologies which are very newly came in the manufacturing industry, which is completely changing the manufacturing industries to a large extent, right? So let us deep dive collaborative planning, forecasting, and replenishment, right? In supply chain management, how these things are working, right? So objective basically is collaborative planning, then forecasting and replenishment. What exactly are these words means? That's the and how this particular these concepts are imbibed or getting a help is used in the supply chain industry. This one is one of the objectives, one of the main objective. Then we will also understand the different differentiation between important terms which will come in respect come with while discussing this particular topic. And also at the end we I have kept some live case studies where we will understand that how different companies they have leveraged, or different domain of companies they have leveraged the CPFR in their company, and how they are getting the benefit out of it. Yeah. So basically, at the end of this particular session, the basically what you will understand is the complete end to end. Whenever we are considering the end to end of a supply chain management system, how this vis-a-vis compared to the traditional way of doing things, how this collaborative planning, forecasting, and replenishment is changing the complete business scenario, and how the businesses are leveraging it, just thus improving their profitability. There are advantages and disadvantages of this concept for the industries, that also we will discuss. And as I told you, detailed study of the factors which are very important and taken care of by the companies, we will try to understand through different use cases, right? Fine. So let us first understand that, what exactly is this collaborative planning, forecasting, and replenishment. What exactly is this meaning, right? So basically, traditionally, what used to happen is every throughout the supply chain in a supply chain management, right? Uh, each and every the suppliers, the collaborators, or the stakeholders, if you talk about, or the partners, right? They were always used to work in silos, right? So what happens is whenever the inventory management, the stockouts, the problem with the coordination problem, it was a constant problem. Okay, and there was no as such monitoring that what is going wrong or why it is going wrong. Monitoring could not be done at a silo level, because at a silo level the problems are there is no coordination across the partners, right? So that traditional picture or scenario got collaborative planning, forecasting, and replenishment, because now we are talking about how technology is completely changing the landscape, right? So when technology is coming into picture, this collaborative planning, forecasting, and replenishment becomes very, very useful, and it is also giving profit to the to the supply chain management of a particular company, right? So this is actually a practice, okay? The practice which basically it aims to enhance the supply chain integration. So there is an integration which happens across the supply chain partners or stakeholders, in whichever way you think of, where the partners they work together to satisfy the customer demand. So at the end of the day, the goal is to satisfy the customer demand, right? The end consumer demand or the customer demand, but that is done previously. It was done in silos across the supply chain management system. But now it is an integrated supply chain management is possible to be to run, uh, obviously through the intervention of technology, different types of technology, so that each and every partner across the total supply chain management, they were aware of that what is happening throughout that particular system, right? So it is a collaboration between the trading partners, where typically the retailers who are actually facing retailers, in whichever, so it can be mediator retailer or retailer at the end who is facing the end consumers, and the suppliers to the retailer, they jointly plan with respect to the inventories, with respect to how much supply, with respect to the demand forecasting. So all these things actually jointly it happens, right? So that there is a coordination between the retailers and the suppliers, and such so that the execution of the supply chain activities, so for example, forecasting or the production planning or the inventory replenishment, this becomes much more accurate. I would not say always it is the precision is 100%, but obviously the goal of these techniques, whenever technology is getting used for the forecasting, production planning, and inventory replenishment, obviously the goal is to have as higher precision as possible, right? And that better the precision, lesser will be the gap of understanding between the partners, okay, which will ultimately optimize the complete supply chain management system. So when we overview this complete CPFR process, it consists of these are the headings, okay, which we will actually throughout this complete presentation we will deep dive into each one of them, what exactly are they, and then only we will try to understand the overview of the whole process in that way. So the first one is the joint business plan, which we'll be talking about. So it completely, the partners or the stakeholders, they develop a shared business plan where exactly the goals, mutual goals. That is, this word is very important over here. So mutual goals, objectives, and the strategies are drafted down, right? Where there is a complete transparency across the partners who knows about these goals and objectives and strategies. And this particular plan, right, it typically covers the sales forecasts, right, the promotions, what all will be the promotional strategies which can be taken up, new product introduction, what can be there, right? And the other relevant aspects. And these things are taken up as because it is a joint venture or collaborative venture across the stakeholders. It's become very easy for them to come to a consensus with respect to each and everybody's capability, each and everybody's goals and objectives. So the things becomes very transparent, right? Next comes is the collaborative forecasting, where the trading partners they share information to create more accurate demand forecast, right? So demand forecasting means how much will be the demand, which the customers will have in a particular season might be, right? So if that forecasting can be done earlier, so obviously, it will have a very, very positive effect with respect to the stocks, the inventory management, the logistics and everything, right? So stock outs kind of situation where there is no stocks to in with the retailers so that they can give it to the with the increasing demand. That kind of situation will hardly occur if this kind of collaborative forecasting can happen in a very fruitful way. Correct. So this involves that complete pooled data, okay, which involves the historical sales data, the market trends data, the promotional plans data, okay, so that all this data, if you apply the the high analytics models and everything, you can come up with this collaborative forecasting, okay, so that if you get a high precision in this, more precision will be high, more accurately you can predict the demand forecast. Next is the collaborative planning, right? So based on the agreed upon forecast, partners they develop a coordinated plan, right? So whenever the forecasting is over, depending on that forecast, obviously there is a coordinated plan which is made for the production. So how much production is needed to to cater to that particular forecasting demand whatever got forecasted, right? With respect to the production, how much inventory should be kept, you know, and obviously in order to get this inventory production and everything, on time to the proper place, that logistics should also be planned, right? So see, one after another, this is a very sequential manner, the CPAFR process goes. And this collaborative planning, it also ensures that the partner, they are aligned with their planning processes. So business plan is a plan which they are making. And throughout this CPFR process, the intention of each and every stakeholder only will be to stick, or the plan and the implementation gap should be minimized, okay? So that should be the ultimate objective for the stakeholders. Now next is, once you the collaborative planning and the forecasting is done, planning is done, next it is the time for execution, right? So here the partners they implement the plan whatever they have planned through different coordinated activities like actual ordering takes place, actual production scheduling takes place, and actual inventory replenishment takes place, right? So here, obviously, a close and proper communication is very much needed across the stakeholders, so that the whatever the execution happens, it becomes very very smooth. Not only that, it the gap between the execution and the plan, whatever they have planned collaboratively, both of them they go hand in hand, right? And last but not the least, so that actually tries to fill up the gap, right? Performance monitoring and feedback. So here actually continuous performance monitoring is needed. And here we need some metrics to be used, which will tell us that, whether the execution is at par with respect to the plan, or it is lagging behind, or it is okay, right? So fill rates, inventory turnover, forecast accuracy. So all these things comes into picture whenever you are monitoring the performance of the complete process. And feedback is also very important metric over here, which will actually, depending on the feedback, the future plans can be revived or modified or updated. Okay, so that again with the updated modified plan, again you can recycle the particular CPFR process, right? So this is in nutshell. This is the sequence of happening across the CPFR process. Now, obviously, we will come back to each and every stage over here elaborately after this. So, key benefits of CPFR is improved forecast accuracy, obviously. Whenever we are taking the historical data into consideration and different trends, market trends into consideration, and we are analyzing it, so it is a data driven accurate forecasting happening, right? It is not with respect to the experience of the managers. We are trying to take some decision which used to be there traditionally when data driven insights or decision making was not that much in vogue, right? So here the combined data and the insights from the multiple partners. So it is not about only the data. Here the partners, those who are very experienced in this particular field, they also put their inputs, and from there only improved forecast, the accuracy of the forecasting is improved, right? So that's what CPFR aims to generate more accurate demand forecast. Thus, more accurate the demand forecasting is, it will obviously have a optimized stockouts. That means reduce the stockouts. I mean the number of stockouts cases and excess inventory, right? Um, then enhance supply chain efficiency. As I told you, every type of coordination in planning or execution, okay, across the supply chain management system. It reduces the lead times. It improves the inventory management because we are going by the forecasting process, right? So obviously the inventory management will be improved, and it will also better the it will also better for the overall supply chain performance. Cost reduction is also another one. So better the forecasting, the logistics optimization, logistic route optimization, everywhere the optimized processes will obviously reduce the cost. So optimized inventory levels and streamlined processes can lower cost associated with the inventory holding, transportation, as I told you, route optimization, and the warehousing, right, where you are actually storing the inventory and all, right? So more accurate your forecasting is, all this across the supply chain management system, this inventory holding, transportation, and warehousing, every system or process will be optimized, thus reducing the cost of the supply chain, right? Increase customer satisfaction. Obviously, if there is a sudden increase in the demand, and if you can forecast it quite early, right, that means the retailers are ready with that sudden increase in the demand, and the customers are also very satisfied with getting the things on time, timely receipt of the things whatever they want, right products at the right time, we say, right products at the right time at the right place, right? In that way, obviously the customers are also get satisfied. So here also that CPFR is meeting the customer demand and enhancing the satisfaction level. Now, challenges in the CPFR is, one is obviously data sharing and integration, right? Because data is not, it is not stagnant at one place over here, right? So whenever we are talking about historical data, it consists of both structured and unstructured data coming from different variety of sources, right? And different configuration of data is coming to you. Different types of data is coming to you, different file system of data is coming to you, right? So technically speaking, this integration, this integrating this data from different types of sources, it can be sales data, it can be production data, right? So production data, whatever, but this data sharing and integration obviously can be a huge challenge if you don't the company doesn't have skilled a technical person who can actually deal with this kind of data. Another one is organizational alignment. getting all the partners aligned to the goals and the strategies can sometimes be challenging, right? When all the partners are not of the same mindset, or they are not of the same goals, or driving or bringing the same goal for everybody, or strategy for everybody, is also a Herculean, sometimes becomes a Herculean task, right? So because different people, different stakeholders, they belong to different organizational culture. Their priorities are different. Their likings are different, right? So to get all of those different types of stakeholders under the same umbrella, having aligned goals and strategies, sometimes it becomes a challenge for the organization. Next is the complexity, right? So managing these collaborative processes across multiple partners, right? So every partner doesn't have the same capability. That's what I told just now. And resource allocation also, right, can also introduce newer complexity and coordination challenges, correct? So basically, CPFR, it is a significant shift from the traditional transaction relationship, as I told you, to a more integrated and collaborative approaches in the supply chain management system. Now, obviously, it incorporates the trust, the communication across the partners, where all of them, they can mutually benefit to have an overall improvement on the supply chain performance, right? So now we will go towards the evolution and the significance in the supply chain management system. So how over time the supply chain management system has evolved, right? And what exactly is the significance? Now, this CPFR, it has evolved significantly over the years. So obviously, at the very traditionally, as I told you, there was a siloed environment. But it was not in a one day, everything could have been, got collaborated and it can be shared and all, right? So over the number of years, as and when the technology has advanced, because whenever you are integrating the data from all the stakeholders or from all throughout the system, we should have that, supportive infrastructure also, IT infrastructure especially, which will support that data and, get the models, get the answers from the models running on the data, right? So those advancements in technology also has supported this CPFI process, where also over this time the consumer behavior, the behavior of the consumer, the attitude of the consumer, their expectations has also changed over time, right? So all these things has actually helped this CPFR process to evolve, right? So uh, and this evolution actually, at the end of the day, it has brought huge benefits for both the businesses and the consumers. So in the late 1990s, if you could remember, when actually internet came, that time there was traditional supply chain practices, right? And where stockouts, overstocking, or disjointed planning was, these were some, very common problems which the stakeholders used to face in the supply chain management system, right? And early adopters, they included the large retailers or the key suppliers, who saw that early adopters means who were the early jumpers. I think in some of my session, I told you that, whenever any technology or whenever any newer concept comes in the market, there are certain early jumpers. So obviously those early jumpers are heavy in their pocket, big companies, right? They always jump in that particular to grab the most of the customer base of that particular milestone in the technology or something new whichever is come. Normally they jump early, and they try to have a proper dominance over the customer base, right? So early adopters included large retailers and key suppliers who saw potential in the collaborative approaches to improve their supply chain performance, right? Now, after that, what is technology enablers, right? So this advent of the internet technology and the digital platform. So once internet came into picture, there were one by one digital platforms also grew, right, including social media. So once these things came into picture, this actually boosted the process of CPFR, right? Because CPFR, this collaborative planning, can only happen when there is a technology support or digital platform supported behind. Without that, they cannot have CPFR process, implemented, right? So collaborative tools such as shared databases, that is, the databases which are shared by more than one partners, electronic data exchange, interchange, okay, cloud computing set solution, right? And also real-time data, okay, this real-time data sharing across the different companies, right? And that is all these things are where actually was positive points for going for this CPFR, right? So once internet came, and after that, one by one, the digital platforms and the social media platforms, high broadband connectivity, the internet speed, everything actually made a, I mean, was a support for this CAPFR process. So initially, it was actually this CPFR was only focused on the demand forecasting and the inventory management. But later on, it also expanded its scope over production planning, over promotional management, and the logistic coordination. Okay, so now if you see this route optimization in logistic, it is completely a smart process, right? Which got complete which got its own practicality with the help of the technology called IoT, right? So Internet of Things. We will come to that later. So yes, so previously the process started with demand forecasting and inventory management. Those were the first two, which actually underwent a good transition. But later on, these things are also percolating into production planning, promotion management, and logistic coordination, right? And later on, what happened is there was an integration between the ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning, which is a huge, software support for the businesses, and the supply chain management system, right? And this systems actually, this integration was very, very crucial, because if you talk about enterprise resource planning, under that there are many other modules also. So supply chain management, once it got integrated with this, it became a unified view actually of the total business happening with respect to supply chain management and other processes, and it became very, very useful for the companies to have a unified view out of it, right? So that's what this integration facilitated. So if there are many modules, there are, as I told you, marketing module is there, supply chain module is there, so under the ERP. So the data exchange between all these processes was seamless, right? So this integration facilitated automated data exchange, enhanced visibility across supply chain, right? So if the visibility across, there was no transparency increased, okay? And as transparency increased, the decision making capability or decision making process became very, very easy for the organization. And once this is done, after that came the analytics and the AI, where artificial intelligence, it helped in all types of analytics, especially the predictive analytics, okay, which was used for generating more accurate forecasts, demand forecast and all. And the AI-driven algorithms also optimize the inventory levels, the logistic routes, okay, which were mostly, based on the near real-time data and the marketing conditions, okay. So this is the evolution, early adoption, as I told you, internet came, technology enablers, right? Then different types of shared databases, electronic data interchange and all. Then the scope increased from demand forecasting and inventory management to the production planning, promotion management, and logistic coordination. After that, there was amalgamation or the integration between the ERP and the SCM system. SS system actually came under ERP as one of the module, and then inclusion of AI, analytics and AI, which further improved the precision of the models and the analytics techniques, right? Uh, then the significance of CPFR in the supply chain management. So, as I told you, improved forecast accuracy, okay, by leveraging the shared data and the collaborative forecasting techniques. This CPFR helped the partners, okay, to generate more accurate demand forecasting, uh, enhance supply chain efficiency, right? So this reduces the lead times. Or no, whenever once this technology came into picture, with the help of the model usage of models on the data, this reduces the lead times and improves the responsiveness of the changes in demand. So once was a change in demand, sudden change in the demand, it was immediately taken care of. And also, as I told you, there was a huge reduced cost of savings, cost savings through this optimized inventory levels and the efficient logistic operations. And obviously, this whole process also strengthened the relationship across the partners, say across the retailers and the suppliers, right? Which also enhance the trust between them, the transparency between them, and also the shared objectives. Also, made them closer to each other, so that they had the they had the common goal, they had the common strategy, they had the common objectives. So it was always a win-win situation from both the from both the partners, whenever they were into the CPFR process, right? And this mutual benefits, obviously at the end of the day, it helped them to increase the sales and the market share. Customer satisfaction, as I told you, obviously, if the complete supply chain process is optimized, ultimately at the end of the day, the benefit will go to the customers because, as I told you, right product at the right time at right place, right? Competitive advantage also, this CPFR also provides a competitive edge of that particular company in the market, right? Because if you apply, if there is a complete transparency across the partners and every process is getting optimized, obviously what you are doing is you are reducing your operational cost, right? At the same time, you are also enhancing the innovation, or the newer innovation in your company, okay, or innovation, or you are improvising on your supply chain practices, right? So this is also giving you a competitive advantage over your competitors, where you can gain more market share as compared to your competitors, right? So yeah, CPFR has evolved as a concept to the strategy imperative in modern supply chain management. Continued evolution and adoption reflect its importance in addressing the complexities and challenges of global supply chain while driving the efficiencies, improving collaboration, and enhancing the customer satisfaction. Now we will go one by one, as I told you. So these are the sequence I showed you before, right? Yeah, joint business plan, collaborative forecasting, collaborative planning, execution. This is the sequence, right? Now, one by one, we will try to understand, what is this collaborative planning, then the forecasting, and then we will come to replenishment. So collaborative planning, it involves this key components. You can see joint business planning, demand planning, inventory planning, and capacity planning. So basically, these are the planning, different types of planning which happens across the supply chain partners, which further enhances the effective coordination and the synchronization across the across amongst themselves, amongst those partners, right? So what is this joint business planning? So joint business planning is obviously it is a collaborative process across the trading partners, but the trading partners means it can be typically retailers and the suppliers, right? Where they develop a shared business plan, as I told you. Okay, a business plan is made which consist of the strategic objectives, goals, and resources, right? Whatever they have at their whatever they have right then, So with that particular thing, the developers share business plan and they share across each other, where everybody comes under the same point or same agree. They agree on the same strategic objective and goals. Correct. The main aim of this GBP or joint business planning is, but to to actually to have a mutual understanding and agreement on how the partners will work together. Okay, so and it starts from this, the goals and objective part, because if they are not cannot held together from the goal and the strategic objective part, later on they might end up into uh, uh, differences across each other and everything, right? So right from the very beginning, where the creation of a business plan is done with respect to strategic objective, goal, and resources, all of them, they should give their consensus on the single or on the common goal, objectives, and the resources. Now, what are the key aspects of GBP? One is the goal alignment, as I told you, right? So all the parties are aligned on the business goals. It can be with respect to revenue target of the revenue target can be with respect to the market share growth, or it can be with respect to the customer satisfaction metrics, right? So how much customer should be satisfied? Some metrics, they should agree upon with how much market share should be, they should acquire within a certain period of time, right? That growth metric should be all of them, they should agree upon with it. So in that way, the goal alignment should be there across the partners with respect to these kind of metrics. Next is the resource allocation. So resources can be financial resource, it can be human resource, it can be logistics resource or logistical resource, right? So how resources will be allocated and utilized to support the agreed upon objective. Now, once the objectives are made, how these resources will be allocated across the supply chain so that these objectives can be made, that also is agreed upon across the partners, right? Now, next is the risk and opportunity assessment. They assess the risk. What are the potential risk and opportunities which can come across, in their complete roadmap, right? Which can impact the partnership or developing the strategies, whatever they have made, at the very beginning in the business plan, right? So they should actually, again, they should prioritize the risk. The severity of the risk should be assessed properly, and then they should also plan how to mitigate those risks and capitalize on the opportunities, right? And the last but not the least is the performance metrics. So basically, the performance metrics, it talks about the measurable performance indicators, right? Which will help them to track the progress and evaluate the success of the joint business plan over time, right? So this performance metrics is normally the KPIs. Okay, we will talk about it later, which actually helps them to track progress and to check how much they are aligned with the business plan, joint business plan, which is made at the very beginning, right? Next is the demand planning. So this is joint business planning where business plan is created. This is the demand planning, right? So it involves the forecasting, right? So demand forecasting basically, where the future customer demand for products or the services, is actually, found out, which depending on the completely data driven. So this is completely data driven, and where from the data can come? The data can come from the historical data. Now, you might ask me that how many years of data? Completely depends on the company. Okay, what kind of company it is, how frequently that company's parameters or metrics changes, right? So depending on that, the company has to take a call that how many years of data it can incorporate whenever it is finding out the customer demand in the future, right? Market trends also another type of data they should also adhere to. and any other relevant factors if it is there for their domain, that also, that kind of data also they should include, right? So, in a collaborative planning context, demand planning actually extend beyond the individual forecast. Okay, and it actually comes with respect to the agreed upon. So, once the forecasting is done, all the trading partners should be taken from all the trading partners are jointly. They should agree upon the forecast whatever got calculated, so that it can be worked upon, right? So the key elements are, one is data sharing, as I was telling you, sharing of the sales data, the point of sale data, and other relevant information if the company is having. And from all the sources, the data should be extracted to create a proper demand forecast. Consensus forecasting is, reaching to a consensus, reaching to a particular consensus on expected demand levels of the product and the services. So the stakeholders should come to a consensus with respect to these expected demand levels, considering many factors, which can be seasonality, which can be promotional strategies, or which can be market trends, right? Then the third one is a scenario planning, where different scenarios are analyzed. Different It can be a simulation technique also can be adhered to here, and their potential impact on the demand. Okay, so that here actually basically in the scenario planning it is checked that how different shocks or different uncertainties or different fluctuations in the market, external shocks, right? How it can impact the basically the forecasting whatever they have made depending on their data, right? And once they understand this, the continuous improvement also they have to understand iteratively. They have to keep on refining. So it's not a one size once for an all. You are working on the data and that's the forecasting. No, every now and then, and that also you need to the partners, they have to decide on that, after how many months or how many weeks the demand forecasting again it should be renewed, or new demand forecasting value should be seen for, so that it can properly reflect the market scenarios or the market parameters, right? So yeah, iteratively refining the demand forecast based on the actual sales data or market feedback needs to be improved accuracy over to improve the accuracy over time, right? Next is very, very important, inventory planning, right? So inventory planning is another very important, you can say the objective, okay, which the partners, they should also come across, to a conscious consensus. So here through inventory planning, actually it determines the optimal level of the inventory to hold at various points of the supply chain, okay, which will actually meet the customer demand, but at the same time, it should minimize the cost, right? So whenever it comes to under collaborative planning, the inventory planning focuses on the coordinating inventory levels. So everybody, how much inventory should be kept at the retailers level or at the suppliers level. Everything should be a transparent process. Okay, so that's what inventory planning focuses on, the coordinating inventory levels and replenishment strategies between trading and the partners. So once that coordination is done, obviously the replenishment strategy making becomes very, very easy across the different trading partners throughout the supply chain system, right? So what are the different things over here in the inventory planning? Safety stock management, lead time management, ordering port policies, and the inventory visibility, right? So safety stock management, agreeing on the appropriate levels of the safety stock, so that stock out never happens, right? And so that's what, to mitigate the risk of stock outs due to the demand variability. So if there is a sudden increase in the demand, or if there is a sudden decrease in the demand, okay, both can have a instant effect on the stock whatever was decided on across the partners, right? So obviously, the appropriate levels of this stock should be discussed upon and should be properly maintained so that this risk of stockouts never happens, or if it happens also, it can be minimized or optimized. Then the lead time management. Okay, the lead time calculations is also very, very important across the partners. They should come to a consensus and ensure that the lead times are accurately reflecting in the inventory planning, so that stockouts can be avoided. Another one is the policy ordering policies, right? So joint ordering policies is where is established over here, where order quantities or the reorder points, okay, to optimize the inventory levels and balance the service levels with inventory cost, right? So basically, the retailers and the suppliers, they should be understanding that what exactly is the order previously, right? It is a proactive measure, what we call. So they are in, they know that how much order is going to come, and so how the production planning should be done. Okay, the reorder points, what are the reorder plan points, so that the inventory optimization of the inventory level or the balance service level can be taken care of. And another one is proper visibility of the inventory visibility, right? So real-time inventory data and the visibility across the supply chain should be proper, so that timely replenishment on the effect and efficient inventory management can be done. And number 4 is the capacity planning, right? So it is from the production point of view, right? So production capacity, how much it is required so that the forecasted demand can be met, right? So that's what determining the production capacity required to meet the forecasted demand levels. And in this particular process, it also ensures that the resources like labors, machineries, and facilities are effectively utilized. Okay, so the resource allocation part is also optimized, right? So in a collaborative planning context, if we think about this capacity planning involves in a coordination, right? So whatever we are talking about the production capacity or whatever we are talking about the resource allocation, everything should be transparent across the shareholders, right? Stakeholders. So involves coordinating this production schedules, as I told you, and the capacity allocation across the trading partners, right? So this is very important in the context of the this collaborative planning. So it involves production scheduling, resource allocation, bottleneck management, and the flexibility and scalability. So in the production scheduling, collaboratively developing production schedules based on the agreed upon demand forecast. So as per the demand, the production schedule, what will be the production schedule that needs to be collaborated across the stakeholders, and the inventory requirement also. Allocating the production resources, whatever the production lines, workforce, okay, to meet the production targets and the customer demand. Bottleneck management, this is very important, where identification of the potential bottlenecks, whichever is there in the production processes, or developing the strategies to mitigate their impact on the overall capacity, that should be there. Because it is across, it is a collaborating strategy, I mean collaborating thing, right? Planning, in that context we're talking about. So obviously, if there is any bottleneck, they can find out any of the stakeholders in the production process. Obviously, strategies also should be mentioned so that they can mitigate that particular bottleneck, so that there is no impact on the overall capacity. Last but not the list is the flexibility and the scalability, right? So building flexible processes, right, which into the production plans or accommodate changes in demand. So that's what I was telling, that forecasting is okay, but always the demand forecasting must be as per the plan. It is never a thing, right? There can be a sharp increase in the demand sometimes, some seasonal, because of some seasonal changes, or because of some external shock, that's what, which can have an unexpected disruption on the complete system. Okay, so that's why there also should be proper planning with respect to scalability and the flexibility, that kind of flexibility, adherence to that flexibility, so that the business can be resilient enough. That also should be taken care of. And future scalability, the scalability thing can be From the technology point of view, this cloud computing, cloud services, if some company goes for cloud services, the scalability, instant scalability can be taken care of. This one we will talk in our future slides. Okay. So yeah, so what we talked about is collaborative planning. It involves this four things. Joint business plan, planning when business plan is made. Demand planning is demand forecasting is done. Inventory planning is the inventory management, how much inventory thing, and capacity planning is the production. Right? Fine. Now, after that, it comes as the collaborative forecasting, correct? So the collaborative forecasting, again, it encompasses the collective expertise and the data sharing across the stakeholders. Okay. And why this data sharing is important? So that the accuracy of the demand forecasting can be enhanced or increased, right? And if the accuracy in the demand forecasting is increased, obviously it will help the company to have a more accurate decision taking, and if the decision taking is more accurate, obviously it will result in a better coordination across the business processes or the functions, right? So it is basically obviously a strategic approach where the collaboration is obviously done in order to mitigate if there is any uncertainties in the process, and to adapt more effectively with the dynamic market conditions, right? That's what I was telling. More dynamic the market is, lesser will be the forecasting. The accuracy of the forecasting might go lesser. So obviously, that adaptability, that adjustability should be there, and that will obviously the collaboration across the stakeholders will obviously increase the robustness of this particular process, so that this dynamic market condition doesn't have so much of effect on the demand forecasting, right? So under this collaborative forecasting, the three things are very important. One is demand forecasting, one is forecast accuracy improvement, how the accuracy of the forecasting can be improved, and another one is forecast sharing. So the sharing of the whatever the forecasting the things are happening, the demand forecasting results or whatever, it should be shared across. We will come to it each and every one. So what is demand forecasting is? It involves bringing together the multiple stakeholders, right? It can be sales teams, it can be marketing department, it can be supply chain managers, or even the end consumers, right? To contribute their insights and data towards creating more accurate forecast of future demand for product and services. Okay. So there comes the collaboration into consideration. So one thing is the data is coming from the historical records. That is one way. And another way is they are also taking the inputs of different multiple stakeholders whose inputs can also insights or inputs can also contribute to understand the demand, future demand for the products and the services, right? And these stakeholders can be from the sales, from the marketing department, from the supply chain managers, or even the customers, right? Apart from this, as I told you, the historical data also is another way of, the thing of dependency, on which also, it gets, through statistical models or analytical models, it is analyzed and analyzed, and the results are drawn from that, right? So collaborative forecasting incorporates qualitative inputs and domain expertise from various parties involved in the supply chain and the sales process. This approach aims to enhance obviously the accuracy of the prediction should be enhanced, so that the results are more closer to the actual scenario. Okay. Real-time market intelligence, we call it. Accuracy improvement, right? So collaborative forecasting also, it aims in improving the accuracy of the forecast over time, right? And that can only be done with the help of the collective wisdom of all the shareholders and the partners, right? It also, different departments of the individuals who can be directly or indirectly connected to this or can have the impact on the demand. such as marketing campaigns or economical factors or operational changes, right? More and more departmental individuals or more diversified individuals who are experiencing in a more different ways. You can refine your forecasting, right? And better align with the actual market condition and the customer behavior. This collaborative approach reduces the risk of biases inherent in single source forecast, right? So obviously this collaborative approach, what happens is as because you are trying to get the inputs or wisdom of many people or the stakeholders at the same time, the biases are very less, okay? And as compared to the single source forecast, and it also enhances the overall reliability of the prediction, right? So it ultimately results in better inventory management or resource allocation and customer satisfaction. And lastly is the forecast sharing. So forecast sharing refers to that's what I told you just now, that it refers to the practice of dissemination or distribution of the forecast information across the different relevant departments, partners, and stakeholders. Okay. Or across the company supply chain network so that everybody is aware of what exactly is the forecast which has come out, right? So, this through collaboration, obviously the result of forecasting is much more accurate, and it is also more transparent and accessible to all the stakeholders, and obviously to those people who need it more, right? So this sharing also, it enables the company to have a better coordination and aligning of the business strategies across the different functional areas, right? For example, production planning or inventory management, sales and marketing, they are all different department things. But once the forecasting is known by everybody of them, there is as because it's a very transparent process, each one of them, they can actually make proper arrangements from their perspective, which might be, which will be obviously having the same objective and same strategy and goals to go with. So it fosters a more integrated approach to decision taking where everybody involved has a visibility to the anticipated demand trends. So everybody know that whether the demand is going to increase or decrease. So accordingly, they will make the suitable changes in their particular department and adjust their activities according to the optimized outcomes. Next is the collaborative replenishment, right? So collaborative replenishment, what is replenishment? First of all is, it obviously encompasses the various strategies and the practices, which is mainly, targeted towards the increasing of the efficiency or the cost reduction or improving the service levels through closer collaboration between suppliers and customers in managing inventory replenishment processes, right? This particular thing is, it includes the proactive management, as I told you, to optimize the supply chain performance, right? And it also meets the customer demand effectively. So it involves four things. One is the order generation, one is the order fulfillment, vendor managed inventory, very important and very interesting also, and continuous replenishment program, right? So what is order generation? So it is actually, this collaborative replenishment, it involves a joint effort of both the suppliers and the buyers, okay, to generate orders, right? And these orders are generated based on some criteria which is agreed upon by both the suppliers and the buyers, okay? It can be depending on the inventory levels or the sales forecast or the lead times or the demand variability, okay? So on these kind of factors, both the suppliers and the buyers, they generate order depending on a agreed upon criteria, right? So traditionally, as I told you, everybody was used to work independently or in a siloed way. But this collaborative replenishment actually focuses on the shared information and also make decisions also jointly. Okay. so that the stockouts kind of understanding, stockouts kind of scenarios can be reduced drastically. Okay, so this approach often employs advanced forecasting techniques and real-time data sharing, so that it can ensure the orders are generated efficiently and accurately. Okay, agreed upon orders. Now, once the orders are generated, I agreed upon orders across the important stakeholders. Order fulfillment is the next thing, right? So, in context of the collaborative replenishment, the order fulfillment is the delivering process of delivering goods and services to meet the customer demand, right? After an order has been generated. So that's the basic need for this order fulfillment. So obviously in this particular process, again, there is a proper coordination between the suppliers and the buyers, so that it requires, timely delivery, accurate shipment, and efficient logistics management, right? And so this collaboration is actually the main, you can say the main reason behind which this order fulfillment can be done on time by the organization. Thus, it can streamline the operational processes, it can reduce the lead time, and thus at the end of the day, it can improve the customer satisfaction so that the customer can get the products which they are asking for at the right time and the right place. This is a very interesting thing where vendor manage inventory, right? So here what happens is the supplier, they take the responsibility of managing the inventory levels of their products at the customer location. Okay, this is very interesting. So basically what happens is the supplier monitors the inventory level remotely, which is actually kept at with the customer customer location. Okay, and then this remote inventory level management is done with the help of this EDI, electronic data interchange, or the IoT technologies. Okay, and whenever any replenishment is any demand is there, the supplier can actually initiate the replenishment order based on some predefined agreement, or it can and whenever there is any minimum stock level is hit, or the threshold of the minimum stock level or consumption rates is hit, then immediately that replenishment, that the from remote only the supplier takes a call, and it does whatever is required, right? So in this particular vendor managed inventory, this particular system, the inventory cost is obviously optimized because the inventory resides with the customer only. So the logistic cost actually, it get minimized over here. It reduces the stockouts because every time before the minimum threshold is reached, actually there is a trigger goes to the supplier side so that the stockouts are actually minimized. And it also improves the supply chain efficiency where it allows the suppliers to have a greater visibility and control on the inventory management, right? So this is a very interesting thing. Another one is very interesting is continuous replacement replenishment program, right? So it is again a collaborative approach where the suppliers and the customers, they work together to maintain the optimal inventory levels. Okay, and how it can is how it is done is by continuously monitoring the stock level at the inventory and on the real time demand data, right? So this is an ongoing communication, constant communication happens between the suppliers and the consumers, customers, and the data sharing between the trading partners happens, to synchronize the production and the replenishment cycles with actual consumption patterns, right? So here this traditional ordering cycles can be avoided or eliminated. Okay, and the CRP aims also this continuous replenishment program also aims in reducing the inventory holding cost. Right. Obviously, if there is a proper collaborative approach which helps them to continuously monitor and replenish the stock, the inventory holding cost will be obviously minimized. Thus, the inventory turnover rates also increases, right? And it enhances, thus it enhancing the supply chain responsiveness with respect to a uh, changing demand of the customers. Next is that execution, right? So all this time we were talking about the different, the replenishment or the planning part and the business plan part and the forecasting part, right? Now it is when actually the execution happens, it encompasses the different practices and the methodologies that emphasize the monitoring performance, managing exceptions, and pursuing continuous improvement through collaborative efforts across the stakeholders, right? So we see the end result of this is operational effectiveness, adaptability, and responsiveness in achieving the shared goals. So there are three ways it can be done. One is the performance monitoring, one is exception management, and another one is continuous improvement. Okay. So I will continue. I will take a break of say 10 minutes now. Now it is 7:15. So I will get back to you at 7:25. Okay. So yeah, at 7:25 we will just resume back. Thank you.